Okay, so why don't we go ahead and talk about perspective now. For those of you that don't know, I mean, I'm sure most of you out there kind of understand the ideas of perspective as things, there's different perspective cues that we see in everyday life and that we can apply to our character designs. One obvious kind of perspective is, if I put my hand out here away from me, close to you, and then back here, you're going to see, this hand here is bigger than this hand. And through that perspective, that perspective through the two different sizes, you naturally assume that this one is closer because this one is smaller. Our brains are wired that way. There's also overlap. If I put my hands like this, you see that this hand overlaps this hand, so this hand must obviously be behind it and therefore further away. So there's perspective in that way. But the perspective I want to talk about today is a little bit more analytical, and that is like 2 and 3 point perspective. And I'm going to just give you a very quick lesson and then show you how I apply that to drawing characters, okay? So why don't we go ahead and dive in. So let's do 2 point perspective to begin with. So if I draw, so let's say I have a horizon line and I put a line across here like this. And I'm going to put a dot here and a dot here. Now what those dots represent, I'm going to actually blow this up. Those dots represent vanishing points. And you might say, okay, what do you mean by vanishing points? And I'll show you. Let's imagine we have a cube. Or let's say we have a tall rectangle, because I'm going to equate that to a human body. But let's start simple. Let's start with a rectangle. So I'm going to imagine that rectangle's corner is close to us, okay? But there's going to be a side that goes this way and a side that goes this way, okay? So I'm going to imagine a line that comes all the way down to this vanishing point. That's, these edges are going to this vanishing point. So I'm just going to imagine this line coming down like so, okay? And we're going to do the same thing for the bottom, just like so. And then I can just drop a line straight down. And now we have one of those sides in perspective, all right? Now let's do the other side. Imagine a line coming to this vanishing point, and we'll just draw a line like so. Same thing here, this side going to that vanishing point. So we just do another line like so. And then if we drop a line down like so, what have we got? Now we've got a big cube. So that's one very quick basic way of thinking about 2 point perspective. Now what if we could see the top? I want to show you if we see 3 planes. Right now we're just seeing 2 planes. We're seeing the left side and the right side. What if we're kind of looking down on it? And let me show you what happens there. So let's create another layer. And now let's say we have a horizon line. Let me grab a different brush. Let's say we have a horizon line up high. Let's say it's way up here, okay? And we have a vanishing point here and a vanishing point here. Now what if we want to see 3 planes if we're up above? Well, if we're up above something, we're looking down on it, that means it's going to be below our horizon line. It's going to drop down below, okay? So I'm going to darken this up and I'll show you what I mean. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and just drop a line down like so. Let's imagine that's corner. And once again, I'm going to imagine, okay, there's a line going this way towards that vanishing point. And we're going to draw another line coming in like so towards that vanishing point, right? Let's drop a line down. We'll do the same thing this way towards that vanishing point, just like so. And then we'll do the same thing coming down like this, right towards that vanishing point, and we'll go ahead and drop a line down. But now, just like we did on the first one, we see the two planes there, but we've got a top that we have to deal with. So once again, let's go from this corner, and we know this plane has got to go to here, so we draw in that direction. And if we go from here and go to that line, or that vanishing point, then we've got something that looks like that. And now we have a cube or a rectangle in 2-point perspective, looking down on it, okay? I always think of when I'm drawing characters in these terms, and once again, I'll show you what I mean by that. Now I'm going to show you one more. It's a little bit more complex, but I want to show you 3-point perspective, and I think about this if I'm looking like an extreme down shot on a character. So once again, if I create a horizon line, like so, and I've got a vanishing point here and a vanishing point here, we can also have a vanishing point down here. And imagine like if you're standing on top of the Empire State Building, when you are looking out at buildings, especially maybe the Chrysler Building nearby or something like that, and you can see the 2-point perspective, but as you look down, you'll also notice that the buildings get smaller as you look down towards the ground, and that's what 3-point perspective is. So once again, let me show you what I'm talking about. And if I drew a line straight up from this vanishing point down at the bottom, let's do it right here. If I drew a line up, we get something like that. And now, once again, let's draw the 2 planes like we did before, thinking of a line coming from here to here. Okay? And then once again, from here to here. Okay? I'm going to draw that out just a little bit because now I want to continue. I want to do a line from here to here. So let's bring this up and we'll bring that up. Now this is really pushed. You know, you can spread your vanishing points out quite a bit as well, and your perspective won't be as pushed. This will feel a little bit like it's a fisheye, like we're really pushing the perspective, but you'll get the idea. So there's one plane looking that way. Now let's do the same thing from here to here, coming down. We're going to go like so. From here to here, we're going to go, well, that's a little wonky. We're going to go like so. Now let's finish our top plane. So from here to here, we'll come over towards that vanishing point. From here to here, we're going to go towards that vanishing point. So now we have the top of our box, and now we're going to drop a line from here to our bottom vanishing point. And we'll just bring it down and there. And look at that, lo and behold, we've got 3-point perspective of a cube that's getting taller and we're looking down on it. Imagine, like I said, we're standing at the Empire State Building and here's one of the other skyscrapers and there's all the windows. You know, you could do something like that. You can imagine all the windows like this. I'm trying to gradually move. There we go. So now you've got something, maybe there's some antennas up here and some air conditioning units, and you know, imagine that's a building and you've got the streets down here and they're going in different directions. I'm thinking about perspective. I always think about perspective. Now let's go ahead and apply that to character. All right, so I'm going to turn that off. Now let's just start with a head. I'm always thinking about perspective, and a lot of young people, I see them do drawings of faces, expressions, and they'll get the perspective off. They'll get so caught up in the features on the face that they'll forget the perspective and things get out of whack. And so I want you to remember to keep that perspective in mind, because that will keep your characters looking like they're not out of whack. they'll look better. So let's go ahead and draw a head, just a basic head. Let's draw, well, let's draw like a kid's head. But I want to feel like I'm looking down on him a little bit. Well, if I do, let's imagine that those vanishing points, right? Well, I'm going to have an eye line coming in here, chin coming in here. This might be a little bit pushed, but I'm going to go for it anyway. I'm going to have, let's pull that brow out. So that brow line will come this way. See how I'm going? I'm thinking about this all on a plane. Let's draw this center line coming down. And if you think about this being in a box, you know, this center line is going to go towards this vanishing point, but then wrap around this forehead. There's the brow coming like so. You see what I'm doing? And then let's pull this out I'm going to put the chin down in here. And then we'll just go ahead and connect. Throw a quick ear in there. Okay? And a cheekbone. And notice how we're getting our planes working here. Okay? So there's that. Now, I'm going to lighten that up. And I'm going to redraw over the top. So let's say we'll bring this down. This is my center line. I want to draw the nose ridge coming down. And I'm imagining it on this side too, coming into the brow. There's the brow here, brow there. Maybe the bridge of the nose is right in here. Imagine the nostrils going in this direction. All right, now we probably won't see the other nostril, but I want to imagine that it's there. And I'm thinking about the mouth. I'm just going to give them a regular straight expression. This isn't a great kid, but I'm going to go ahead and draw this in. Now, if the mouth were like this, but the mouth isn't going to be, it's not sitting on a flat plane, right? Even though I want to make it feel like it's wrapping around, but I still want to think about perspective. And the way I can do that is I can think of it this way. I can go, okay, here's the corner of the mouth and there's the corner of the mouth. So I'm keeping those in perspective. But now I want this to feel like it's coming around the face, and I can put the lips coming like that. There, see? And this would come out. And then this come in, keeping in mind perspective, coming down like so. These actually should go this way. There. And then here, there's one eye, and then thinking about coming up to here, drawing a line down. This eye will be up here, and we're just going to see a piece of it, and the eyelid coming around. There we go. There we go, like so. All right. And hair and all the other stuff, and put a little part in there. But that's how, that's how I think about with a character. And actually, let's take it down into the shoulders. Let's, if he's sitting here and you want to draw his shoulders in, well, there's a shoulder there, like so. We'll put his hair coming in. Whoops. Let me do this a little better. I'm getting a little sloppy. Well, let's bring that shoulder up. That other shoulder and we bring the neck down. Thinking about perspective, well, that other shoulder is going to fall right about coming up here like so. Right about in there. So that's how you can keep things in perspective. What if we have, and that's the face and the head, and keeping the head in perspective and thinking about that. Now remember, you can change it in different planes. Let me show you a different plane. If we've got an upshot, thinking about perspective going this way. If I've got a character like this, maybe the forehead comes out like so. And the chin comes like this, and this comes back. Perspective is this way. Everything's going in that direction towards a vanishing point that's off the paper. And then all of this will go this way, like so. So here, if I'm thinking about this eye line, that'll at least give me some indication of where that eye is going to be. And then by following the perspective back, that's also going to tell me, well, you know what? This nose is blocking the other eye, so I won't have to draw the other eye in. If you follow perspective cues, it will indicate where you need to draw features and where you don't. So if I'm following that perspective cue, looking up like that, then I know, okay, I don't have to draw another eye back there. And I'm going to draw the chin in. The mouth is going to come around here. I'll draw that top lip. I'm going to see more of the top lip than I will the bottom lip. And this is very, very quick and scribbly, but it gives you a sense of how perspective works in different angles, like so. And the cheekbones are going to come back that way. So you can see, just by following my perspective cues, it tells me where to put the features on the face, okay? Now, let's do something a little broader. Let's do a full figure. Go a little bit bigger with the brush. So I really like, I've been drawing him a lot lately. I really like Hagrid from Harry Potter. So let's do that. And in Hagrid, in the book, he's supposed to be like 13 feet tall. In the movie, he's only like 8.5. But in the book, he's really tall. He's twice the height of a man. So he's like 12 feet. So if we do that, I want to make him feel big. So just like we did with that first cube, I don't want to see the top of him. I don't want to be looking down on him because that's going to feel small. So I'm going to imagine that I'm standing on the same ground plane as him and kind of looking up at him. So by doing that, I take perspective into my brain and think about it. And first I'm going to start with his head up here. And I want him to be kind of looking off to this side, I think. And I'm just going to go very rough. I'm going to imagine his beard, but I want him turning his head towards us, but his shoulders are turning away. So maybe he's got a shoulder here, and thinking about perspective, I'm going to imagine the perspective on him kind of going like this. Now the vanishing point is off screen. It'll be way off to the right. But I want that perspective to feel like this. Okay, so that we end up above the ground plane down here. Like if we drew a ground plane, it would look like this, but we're below his shoulders. It'll make him feel real big. So I'm going to follow this line and find his other shoulder, like so. And then just imagine, you know, in the book, he's twice the height of a man and 5 times as wide. So that makes him really big. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. And so I'm going to draw his big, simple shapes. Remember, I'm always thinking in simple shapes. So I'm going to start with that body. And I'm imagining, okay, I'm following these perspective cues. Big shoulders. He's a big man, really big man. Like so. There's that beard coming down. I always start my characters very scribbly like this. I'm thinking about a hip. His hips are going to be here. Well, if that hip is there, I'm going to follow this line across, and there'll be a hip on the other side that connects to the leg, which is also going to connect to the leg here. I'm going to make his legs a little... yes, I'm drawing him without his coat on, just to start with. And then when we tie it down, which is what I'm going to do, and then let's imagine his feet. He's got giant feet because he is a giant. Well, he's half giant. And then we'll have a foot like so. Okay? I'll bring this in. And then let's get these arms in. So let's erase that back. If I draw his arms, imagine his arms like so. And I'm thinking about simple shapes. There's one arm coming into his wrist. Big kind of sausage fingers, I'm imagining. He's got big, giant, strong hands, like so. Just draw that in fast. Well, I want to imagine that coming across, and that's where we're going to see that other hand, because his arm's going to be the same length. So by following perspective, it automatically tells me where that other hand is going to fall. And so that arm's going to be bent back here, and it goes into a forearm, which then goes into the hand, like so. And if you look, I will just draw that back very quickly, very scribbled. Now, if you look, by following those perspective cues, now I've got something that feels like he's really big. It feels like we're looking up at him. And let's give him his big hair. He's got giant hair. And we'll go ahead and I'm just going to indicate where I'm going to make his face a little bit bigger. And we'll give him his big mustache. Like so. Okay? So now that we've got that and there's his chest, you know, we've got everything working following his knees in perspective, his feet, everything is working the way that it should in perspective. And also, it's not as, you know, this is much more pronounced, you know, in the front plane of his body, but things are working this way too. And I still imagine there's a thickness to the box that he's in that goes in this direction, okay? But let's go ahead and lighten this up. And now once I've got that figured out, I can come in like so. And then I can, you know, I don't have to worry about perspective anymore. I've got it roughed in. And now I can come in and now I want to work on, okay, I want to work on his, what he might look like. And so if I blow him up a little bit more, I'm going to shrink up this brush. Now I'm still thinking about perspective. I'm thinking about, okay, these are the lines on his face should be kind of going in that direction. We'll give him his big eyebrows that he's got. And we're looking up at his nose, so I want to make sure that we are looking under the plane of his nose. Big eyebrows, cheeks coming down. I'm going to push his eyes. There we go. A little closer together. Like so. Maybe he's looking in this direction. He's looking off to the side. I'm just going to give it a quick indication like so. We'll get a little break in the nose up here. Maybe we can see part of his ear. But actually, because we're looking up at him, that ear is going to be coming this way. I want to see his ear kind of down there. That'll feel more like we're looking up at him. And we'll get these eyebrows in. And this is just very, very quick. I want you to really think about perspective when you're drawing your characters. It'll make your poses, especially if you really play with it and you're playing with big characters, it'll make your poses much more dynamic if you can think about that. A lot of times, perspective won't be pushed in characters that I've looked at, and you can't get a sense of size. Also, think about the point of view. If you want a character that feels small, think about drawing that character, you know, looking down on that character, because we're so used to, you know, if we're looking down on something, it feels small to us. So think about, you know, how you might stage something like that. So there's, you know, just quickly scribbling in his head. And now, since I've got all the body cues and everything, now let's, I'm going to give him like little shoulder flaps for his coat. But I'm using that underdrawing as a starting point. And I know his chest is going to be kind of overlap in front like so. And let's make his coat go a little bit bigger. Let's make his coat open. And it's going to come over his body. I'm trying to follow those contours that I've established on the body. It's going to come over his belly and just kind of hang down. It's like I'm dressing a mannequin right now. That's why I like to draw the, you know, kind of the nude character underneath. And then when I draw the costume, I can just dress him. And that's what we're doing now. And we'll bring down the other part of the coat and it comes around. And maybe his coat comes around this way. And he might... Actually, let's say he has a belt. Let's put that belt up here. So we might get a little couple wrinkles there, and then the coat comes down and wraps around his legs like so. And then as the arms, there's wrinkles in the leather of his coat right here. As the arm sleeves come down, I'm going to keep this tight, but he's going to get some wrinkles in the sleeve there, and then it'll come around. Maybe he's got a shirt on underneath, like so. So you can just sit and it's like I said, it's like dressing a mannequin. You can experiment and you can try different things as long as you can try different clothing, different costumes. And that's going to be a whole other lesson I'm going to do with you. As long as you have that underdrawing done. And let's give him, you know, the collar. And I'm going to follow that perspective coming down. So it's going to come up that way and then over. Let me erase that so you can see that a little better. I got a little carried away. Come down. This will come up like so, down, and then it connects in here. Follow that over, so it'll connect in there. And so now that part of his costume is in perspective. And I'm going to put his pants up high, you know. There we go, put his pants up high. And maybe he's got some wrinkles in his pants down there. And then we'll give him big boots. I'm just going to scribble these in really fast. And big boots here, like so. So there, and let's get a little piece of that, of the other hand over there. Maybe some fingernails. So there. So imagine I could turn this off underneath, and now we got a character that is in perspective. It's done right because we sat down and we took the time to follow these perspective cues. I was thinking about 2-point perspective and then and also 3-point perspective. I mean, we could really push this if we wanted to make him feel like he's, you know, 100 feet tall. And just like we did where we were looking down and had that vanishing point going down, you can do the same thing looking up. And so if I really wanted to push this, I could push perspective cues going in this direction as well and going up to a vanishing point up top. So think about perspective. Make sure that all the features on the face line up. Now, if you have characters that are, you know, they're emoting, they're expressing, then, you know, they're not always going to, you know, this eyebrow won't always line up with this eyebrow in perspective because I might be cocking them differently. I can't do that, you know, one eye down, one eye up. And so let me show you what I mean on that. If I have this character, if we look at the perspective on here, or just the, you know, making sure everything is in line, you know, the eyes are in line, the nose, the mouth, everything. See how as I go down the line, it lines up with the shoulders. Everything stays lined up. But if you look at the eyebrows, they're kind of cocked like that. That's okay because that eyebrow is obviously pushed higher and this one's held down. But as long as everything else stays in line and stays consistent, then you're going to be okay. The same thing happens here. Look at the nose. You know, if I follow these perspective cues, everything is going in this direction. But once again, I've cocked that eyebrow up higher than here, and we're getting something that's pushed a little bit more, like so. Same thing here. Once again, if we imagine the shoulders on this guy are kind of going this way, which means if I were to draw his body in, we'd get perspective cues like that. But now we want to change to the head, so the perspective is going to go this way and follow the mouth, into the teeth, into the chin. So the nose, everything's staying lined up. The eyes, notice how everything stays lined up. And then here I can push those eyebrows up. You know, the eyelids are pushed differently. But I want to make sure that in general, cheekbones, the things that don't move, the structure of the skull, that sort of thing, make sure that they all stay consistent. Here, if I drew a box on the front of his face and drew this back, we would get something that feels like that if his head were in a box. So there are going to be times as you draw expression. Here's another one. As you draw expression, as long as you keep that skull lined up the right way and imagine perspective, then you can push things around over the top of the face. Same thing here. Look at the cheekbones. I follow the cheekbones across, the eyes across, the nose. The mouth is being crooked, but basically if I look at corner to corner, that's going the right way. The beard is lined up. Everything's lined up the way I want it. I've got the eyebrow cocked differently, but I'm also thinking about perspective on the face going that way as well. Same here. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. There's perspective, imagining a box. There's perspective going back this way. But then on the front of the face, going down, here's the eye there, mouth, the chin. See that perspective? Everything is going to a vanishing point, okay? I'm thinking about perspective all the time when I'm drawing the face. So I think you should too. It will make your characters more consistent, make them more believable, and it will also make them more dynamic, especially if you can push size, okay? Let's go ahead and go on to the next video.